Hey, what's up, guys? Kane here with XBLA fans, and we're going to be talking about this week's weekly deals, Xbox One sales, and deals with gold. As always, I'm going to be focusing on the indie titles. So we're specifically looking at more of like the idea at Xbox and indie game niche area. So that's where I'm passionate about, and that's what I know a lot about, and that's what I've played a lot of. So we're going to go through some of these. Believe it or not, there's actually a good bit this week that I have not played yet. So it's kind of cool for me. I still got a pretty good background on a lot of these because somebody at XBLA fans has streamed all of them. And I've obviously talked to people, so, I'm pretty familiar with them at least. So Adam's Venture Origins, it's a remaster of the original. It's got better graphics, new gameplay, set in the 1920s. Action-adventure puzzle game. I believe it's a pretty easy completion. I do own this one because I bought it on sale previously, but I have not had a chance to jump into it myself. So there's not much I really have to say about this one. I do remember it was a fairly simple completion. So if you're out there for achievements, it might be worth it for you. But other than that, I don't really think it was anything too particularly special. Sorry about that. My phone was kind of going nuts. Anima Gate of Memories. So this is a third-person action RPG. Two different beings, girl with forgotten past, legendary monster. I'm not going to read all of these, I promise. But we do have a quick taste up for this one, and it's an interesting game, if I recall correctly. It is not one I've played again, and $14.99 is still a little steep for me personally. Now, Casa 7 Godsends Redux. It's a 2D run-and-gun arcade-style game. The main thing I'm going to tell you about this one is it has 8 achievements that are currently glitched. So, yes, it's $210. That's a pretty low price. But for most of you guys, the fact that there's a lot of glitched achievements is probably going to be enough to send you away from it immediately. Now, Elite Dangerous Commander Deluxe Edition, Zero's obsessed with this game. He absolutely loves this game. In fact, he's told me he's going to be making some more video guides for this game. So he's a huge, huge, passionate fan of this game. I've played this game for about 2 hours, and I don't understand it at all. I have no idea what I'm doing. It's very technical. It's very much something that you have to learn a lot about. And it's a very, very, very deep space game. So if you're looking for a very sim space experience, this is fantastic. It's got Elite Dangerous Arena, Elite Dangerous Horizons, Elite Dangerous Core. It's got all the different gameplay elements that have been released over time. This is one of the first game preview games, and it's been very solid from what I've heard. The fans I know who love this game are super passionate about it. So, if you've been looking for a very deep space experience, this is a good one. And it's on sale. Now, HoPiKo. It's a speedrunner, 100 different levels. I have not actually played this one. I might end up picking it up because it's only $350, and $350 is pretty cheap. Now, Kingdom New Lands. This is one I'm super passionate about. I highly recommend this game. I loved this game. Now, it is very minimalistic. It is a strategy game that has very, very little... I want to say almost gameplay, but that's a bad way of phrasing it. But there's very little that you actually do as yourself. So basically, you are like a king or a queen, and you are on an island, and you need to move from the island to the next island. There's 5 different islands. Every night, gradually you start to get attacked by these kind of monsters. There's ways to completely destroy the monsters spawning. You can build up some cool defenses, but most of the gameplay is actually done as the king or the queen by just throwing coins at your kind of servants. And it's kind of cool how it works. It's got some really cool just kind of elements to it. And I thought it was super, super interesting. I very much enjoyed this game. It was on our short list for Game of the Year stuff, to be perfectly honest. It has a very cool pixel art kind of look to it. And I know Christine loved it. She gave it a must buy. Like, I would highly recommend this game for $5 if you like strategy games at all. So it's kind of like a mix of like a strategy and a management game almost. But it's just really neat, and it's got like, it's just kind of hard to explain. Like, it's just a really cool mix of a lot of different things. Now, Late Shift, that just released today. I have not played it because I've been intentionally saving this for when I play it on Twitch. Now, it's a choose-your-own adventure style game. It's an FMV game. If you ever played The Bunker, it's similar to that. I know Bitter's already picked this up and played it, and she was talking about it with me a little bit. I don't want to spoil too much, but if you like that type of game, it's going to be interesting. And I think the price on Late Shift is much more fair than, say, The Bunker. The Bunker was a little tough to swallow at first on launch, even if it was a pretty decent game. Now, Penarium. Penarium is a 2D arcade game. Basically, you do like all this kind of crazy stuff where you have to like fight to live as a sadistic crowd watches. Yeah, I mean, you're going to be jumping through like laser beams, avoiding, saws and missiles and all this other kind of crazy stuff. If you like games like Super Meat Boy, I would suggest this. It's pretty solid. I know David, who I believe reviewed this, was obsessed with it. And when I mean obsessed with it, like, I remember his first draft of his Game of the Year votes was just Penarium for everything that year. Like, I think he sent in a real one afterwards, but it still had Penarium at least 3 times. So I know he was a massive fan of the game. It's kind of one of those kind of like more twitchy arcade platformers. It's $2.50. So like right now, if I was you and I didn't have any of these games, I would have bought Kingdom New Lands and I would have bought Penarium. And you're looking at about $7.50 for 2 amazing games. That's a pretty good deal right there. It's really, really solid. Now, we're going to move on to Ruse. And Ruse is a god game. And it is literally the first game I nearly fell asleep playing. So, we gave it limited appeal. I believe Nathan reviewed this for us. And it was one of those games where like he and I were chatting and we were just like, do you think this is fun? And I'm like, no. So it's got kind of a cool look and it's got some like neat elements in a sense, but in like all actuality, it wasn't very fun. And like even at $14.99, it's still pretty overpriced in my opinion. So I would probably pass on that one. Now, Steredenn, it's a cross between a shmup and a roguelike. I think we gave it a reader's choice, but I remember hearing good things about this from a few people. I have not personally played this one, but now that it's down to $6.50, that makes it much more likely to be worth checking out. So to me, like, I'm even debating this one myself. To be perfectly honest, I'm trying to not buy as many games right now because I haven't had much time to play some of the ones like deeper than a couple hours. And like I want to actually dive into some of these I just picked up. Like I just bought the Disney Afternoon Collection today and I'm like super excited to play it and I haven't even had a chance to boot it yet. So I don't know, I may pass on this, but I would definitely say this one is worth checking into. And I would definitely check out a review on that one and see what you think, whether or not it's, stuff that would apply to you. One of the cool things about our reviews is we kind of try to break things down into like good and bad. That way you can look at it and be like, oh, this guy said the game was hard. That's not going to bother me. Or, something like that. Stuff that may not bother you. Like for me, like I don't really care if a game has inverted controls, but I care if it has a colorblind mode. Other people are the complete opposite. Now, Sublevel Zero Redux, I did play this. I personally did not particularly like it. It's got that whole 6 degrees of movement freedom, which is kind of cool. You can go right, you go left, you go forward, back, up, down. That's kind of neat. It's got some cool stuff. It's also a roguelike, though. And the thing is, Xbox One has so many roguelikes anymore that for me, like, this is not one that was particularly awesome and interesting to me. Like, I just think we're hitting, like, almost roguelike saturation at this point on Xbox One. That may just be me, but that's kind of how I'm starting to feel. There's a lot of them anymore. Alright, Torment Tides of Numenera. Numenera, I don't even know, man. An RPG set on Earth a billion years in the future. This one I really wanted to play, but I haven't had a chance to yet. I'm probably going to wait myself on it to go a little more on sale. It's pretty recent. I think it's done by the same type of team that did Wasteland. I could be wrong on that. And it should be interesting, but it's one that I'm personally going to be waiting on for a little bit more of a price reduction on that one. I've got too many games to play, and I'm not going to be picking that up yet myself. Now, The Sun and the Moon, this was a winner of the Ludum Dare 29 Game Jam. It has a unique kind of mechanic, but if I remember right, it's actually pretty difficult, and it gets pretty repetitive. And I think the achievements were particularly difficult for this one. It's from Digerati Distribution, I know that much, and it is $4.68 right now, which is a pretty low price. So if you're into like difficult platformers with kind of unique mechanics, it might be worth looking into. But otherwise, I would probably pass on that one. I personally, again, would probably recommend Penarium over all the other platformers in this one. Now, Vertical Drop Heroes HD, it's a procedurally generated platformer with RPG hybrid roguelike elements. You kind of travel down through different levels, and you gotta like survive different stages, eventually find the boss, and you learn more about what's going on in the game. It's kind of interesting. It reminded me a little bit of like Rogue Legacy personally. I found it pretty fun, and it's $5.35, so it's definitely worth looking into. Like, there's some decent sales, I would say, in this one. I would say the definite winners and like the biggest ones to highlight for me are Kingdom New Lands and Penarium. Those are the two games that I would highly suggest picking up. It's $7 between the two, basically. $7.50. That's not bad at all for the amount of gameplay you're going to be getting. They're two very, very different games, though. Kingdom New Lands is much more strategy, kind of a little bit of management, whereas Penarium is very much more a like Twitch arcade platformer. You know, like it's a very different style game. You're gonna die a lot in Penarium, a lot, but it was pretty solid from what I've played. So that's just kind of my opinions on this week's deals and sales. If you guys have any questions about any specific game, let me know. Again, if it's not one I played, I can easily track down someone over at XBLA fans who did play it, and I can get them to come answer your questions if you have anything I don't know. So please do like and subscribe. It really does help us out a lot. And if this is like the type of content you're enjoying, please do let us know. Like, that's how we know to do more of it. We really appreciate it if you guys share this as well. If you do buy a game on this list right here, on the weekly deals, we do actually get a cut from these. And that's something I want to just make sure everyone is aware of. It doesn't really change our opinion on the game, obviously, but it's just a cool way for us to get a little bit back from Microsoft for, you know, kind of highlighting some of these unique games that a lot of people wouldn't touch. And, like, I think they're awesome. Like, I love getting to highlight these type of things. So thank you guys so much again, and we really do appreciate it, and later.